Welcome! Today we're diving into the concept of residency as it relates to state programs. You might have heard the term before, but what does it really mean? Residency is a key factor in determining your eligibility for a wide range of state benefits and services, from education to healthcare and beyond. Each state has its own definition and requirements, so understanding the basics is essential. In this video, we'll break down what residency means, why it matters, and how it can impact your access to state programs. Let's get started by exploring the core idea of residency and why states care about it. Residency, in the context of state programs, generally refers to where you live and intend to remain for a significant period. It's not just about having an address, it's about establishing a true connection to a state. States use residency to determine who qualifies for certain benefits, like in-state tuition, Medicaid, or voting rights. The definition can vary, but it usually involves both physical presence and intent to stay. This means you need to actually live in the state and show that you plan to make it your home. Let's look at how states typically define these requirements. One of the main components of residency is physical presence. This means you must actually be living in the state. Simply owning property or having a mailing address there usually isn't enough. States may require you to spend a certain number of days within their borders to qualify. For example, some programs might ask for proof that you've lived in the state for at least 6 months or a year. This helps ensure that only those who truly live in the state can access its benefits. Next, we'll talk about the second key element, intent. Intent is just as important as physical presence when it comes to residency. States want to see that you plan to make their state your home, not just stay temporarily. This can be shown in several ways, such as getting a state driver's license, registering to vote, or signing a long-term lease. The more ties you have to the state, the stronger your case for residency. It's about proving that you're not just passing through, but that you genuinely intend to stay. Let's see how these two elements work together in practice. Why do states care so much about residency? It's because many state programs are funded by state taxpayers and are meant to benefit those who truly live there. By setting residency requirements, states can make sure their resources go to people who contribute to the community. This applies to programs like public universities, healthcare, and even some tax benefits. If you're thinking about applying for a state program, understanding residency rules is the first step. Now, let's look at some common state programs that require residency. One of the most well-known examples of residency requirements is in-state tuition at public colleges and universities. Students who are considered residents pay significantly lower tuition than out-of-state students. To qualify, you usually need to prove both physical presence and intent to remain in the state for a certain period, often a year or more. Schools may ask for documents like leases, utility bills, or tax returns. This ensures that in-state tuition benefits go to those who have established a real connection to the state. State-funded healthcare programs, like Medicaid, also require proof of residency. These programs are designed to help people who live in the state and contribute to its community. To qualify, you'll need to show that you live in the state and intend to stay. This might involve providing a state ID, rental agreements, or other official documents. Residency rules help states manage their resources and ensure that benefits go to those who need them most. Next, let's look at how residency affects voting rights. Residency is a crucial factor in determining your eligibility to vote in state and local elections. States require you to be a resident before you can register to vote. This ensures that only people who actually live in the community have a say in its government. You'll often need to provide proof of address, like a utility bill or lease, when registering. Residency rules help maintain the integrity of the voting process and ensure fair representation for all residents. Residency can also affect your tax situation. States may offer certain tax benefits to residents, such as credits or deductions. At the same time, being a resident means you might be responsible for paying state income taxes. The rules can be complex, especially if you move between states or have income from multiple sources. It's important to understand how your residency status impacts your tax obligations and benefits. Consulting with a tax professional can help you navigate these rules. So, how do you establish residency in a new state? The process usually involves a combination of actions that show your intent to make the state your home. This might include getting a state driver's license, registering your car, enrolling your children in local schools, or even joining community organizations. The more ties you have, the stronger your case. Each state has its own list of acceptable documents and requirements, so it's important to check the specific rules where you live. When applying for state programs, you'll often need to provide proof of residency. Common documents include utility bills, rental or mortgage agreements, state-issued IDs, and tax returns. Some programs may also accept pay stubs, bank statements, or school records. The key is to show that you live in the state and intend to stay. Make sure your documents are current and have your name and address clearly listed. This will help you avoid delays or denials when applying for benefits. Students often face unique residency challenges, especially if they move out of state for college. Many states have special rules for students, requiring them to prove that they're not just in the state for school, but actually intend to make it their home. This might involve living in the state for a certain period outside of school terms, working locally, or showing other ties. Understanding these rules is crucial for qualifying for in-state tuition and other benefits. Residency rules for minors are often tied to their parents or legal guardians. If a child's parents move to a new state and establish residency, the child is usually considered a resident as well. This is important for things like enrolling in public schools or accessing state healthcare programs. Some states may have additional requirements, so it's always a good idea to check the rules if you're moving with children. Non-citizens can also establish residency for state programs, though the rules may be more complex. Many states allow legal immigrants and certain visa holders to qualify for residency if they meet the same requirements as citizens. However, some programs may have additional restrictions based on immigration status. It's important to review both state and federal guidelines to understand your eligibility. What happens if you leave the state temporarily? Most states allow for short absences without losing your residency, as long as you intend to return. For example, traveling for work or vacation usually doesn't affect your status. However, if you move away for an extended period or establish residency elsewhere, you may lose your eligibility for state programs. Always keep documentation showing your intent to return if you're away for a while. Some people split their time between two states, which can create dual residency issues. States generally don't allow you to claim full residency in more than one place. For most programs, you'll need to choose a primary state of residence and meet its requirements. Dual residency can complicate things like taxes, voting, and program eligibility, so it's important to keep clear records and understand the rules in both states. If you move to a new state, you'll need to take steps to change your residency. This often means updating your driver's license, registering your car, and notifying relevant agencies. You may also need to update your voter registration and tax information. Changing residency can affect your eligibility for state programs, so it's important to complete all required steps as soon as possible after your move. Sometimes, states conduct audits to verify residency claims, especially for high-value programs like in-state tuition or tax benefits. If you're selected for an audit, you'll need to provide documentation proving your residency. This might include leases, utility bills, employment records, and more. Failing an audit can result in losing benefits or facing penalties, so it's important to keep your records up to date and accurate. Residency can play a role in divorce proceedings, especially when it comes to filing requirements and child custody. Most states require at least one spouse to be a resident before filing for divorce. Residency can also affect which state's laws apply to property division and child support. If you're going through a divorce and have recently moved, be sure to check the residency rules in your new state. Being a resident of a state usually means you're eligible for jury duty. States use residency lists, like voter registrations or driver's licenses, to select potential jurors. If you move, make sure to update your information so you're included in the correct state's pool. Failing to respond to a jury summons can lead to penalties, so it's important to keep your residency records current. Many public assistance programs, like food stamps or housing aid, require proof of residency. States want to ensure that benefits go to people who live and contribute to the community. You'll need to provide documents like leases, utility bills, or state IDs when applying. If you move, be sure to update your information to avoid interruptions in your benefits. Getting a state driver's license is often one of the first steps in establishing residency. States require you to get a new license within a certain period after moving, usually 30 to 90 days. You'll need to provide proof of address and other documents. Having a state license is a strong indicator of residency and is often required for other benefits and programs. Registering your vehicle in your new state is another important step in establishing residency. States usually require you to do this within a set time frame after moving. You'll need to provide proof of insurance, address, and sometimes pass a vehicle inspection. Proper registration helps prove your intent to remain in the state and is often checked for other programs. Enrolling children in public schools usually requires proof of residency. Schools want to ensure that only local residents access their resources. You'll need to provide documents like leases, utility bills, or state IDs. Some districts may also require additional forms or interviews. Keeping your residency documents up to date will help avoid delays in enrollment. State ID cards are another way to prove residency, especially if you don't drive. Applying for a state ID usually requires similar documents as a driver's license, like proof of address and identity. Having a state ID can help you access a variety of programs and services, from healthcare to voting. People experiencing homelessness can still establish residency for state programs. States often accept letters from shelters, social workers, or other agencies as proof. The key is to show that you live in the state and intend to remain even if you don't have a permanent address. Special rules may apply, so check with local agencies for guidance. Military personnel often have special residency rules. Service members may maintain residency in their home state even if stationed elsewhere. However, they can also choose to establish residency in a new state if they meet the requirements. Spouses and dependents may have different rules, so it's important to review both state and federal guidelines. Incarcerated individuals may face unique residency issues. Some states consider prisoners residents of the state where they're incarcerated, while others count their previous home. This can affect voting rights, program eligibility, and more. If you or a loved one is incarcerated, check the specific rules in your state. Children in foster care may have their residency determined by the location of their foster family or the agency responsible for their care. This can impact access to education, healthcare, and other programs. Foster parents and agencies should keep thorough records to support residency claims for children in their care. Survivors of domestic violence may need to establish residency quickly to access state programs and protections. States often have special provisions to help survivors, such as accepting alternative documents or providing confidential addresses. If you're in this situation, reach out to local agencies for support and guidance on meeting residency requirements. Seniors may need to prove residency to access state programs like healthcare, housing, or tax benefits. The process is similar to that for other adults, but some programs may offer additional support or flexibility. Seniors should keep their documents current and seek help from local agencies if needed. State disability benefits often require proof of residency. Applicants may need to provide medical records, state IDs, and proof of address. Some programs coordinate with federal benefits, so it's important to understand both sets of rules. Keeping your residency documents up to date will help ensure you receive the support you need. If you're starting a business, you may need to prove residency to get a state business license. States want to ensure that businesses are operated by local residents and comply with local laws. You'll need to provide documents like leases, utility bills, or state IDs. Some states have special rules for out-of-state business owners, so check the requirements before applying. Many states offer discounted hunting and fishing licenses to residents. To qualify, you'll need to prove residency with documents like a state ID or utility bill. Non-residents usually pay higher fees. These rules help ensure that local residents benefit most from state resources. Some state lotteries require you to be a resident to claim certain prizes or participate in special drawings. You'll need to provide proof of residency when claiming your winnings. These rules help ensure that lottery benefits go to people who live in the state. State parks often offer discounted entry or special programs for residents. You may need to show proof of residency, like a state ID or utility bill, to get these benefits. This helps ensure that state resources are enjoyed primarily by those who support them through taxes. Many states offer scholarships or grants to residents attending local colleges or universities. To qualify, you'll need to prove residency with documents like a state ID, lease, or tax return. These programs are designed to support local students and keep talent in the state. Adoption laws often require prospective parents to be residents of the state where they're applying. This helps ensure that adoptive families are part of the local community and can access necessary support services. Proof of residency is usually required during the application process. Many professional licenses, like those for teachers, nurses, or contractors, require proof of residency. States want to ensure that licensed professionals are part of the local workforce and meet state standards. You'll need to provide documents like a state ID, lease, or utility bill when applying. Insurance policies, like health or auto insurance, often require you to be a resident of the state where the policy is issued. This ensures that you're covered under local laws and regulations. You'll need to provide proof of residency when applying or renewing your policy. Access to state courts for certain legal actions, like filing lawsuits or probate cases, may require residency. This ensures that the courts serve people who live in the state. Proof of residency is usually required when filing legal documents. Some state jobs require applicants to be residents. This helps ensure that public employees are invested in the community they serve. Proof of residency is usually required during the hiring process, and you may need to maintain residency throughout your employment. State grants for individuals or organizations often require proof of residency. This ensures that state funds support local projects and people. You'll need to provide documents like a state ID, lease, or utility bill when applying for grants. State identification cards are a primary way to prove residency. They're accepted by most programs and agencies as official proof. To get a state ID, you'll need to provide documents showing your address and identity. Keeping your state ID current is important for accessing benefits and services. To wrap up, residency is a crucial concept for accessing a wide range of state programs and benefits. It's defined by both where you live and your intent to remain. Each state has its own rules, so it's important to check local requirements and keep your documents up to date. Whether you're applying for school, healthcare, or other services, understanding and proving your residency can make the process smoother and help you get the support you need. Thanks for watching, and stay informed about your state's residency rules.